Hi, my name is Jeff Lockridge, Vanderbilt beat writer for the Tennessean. Happy to be joined today by our new Vanderbilt head football coach, Derek Mason. Comes to us from Stanford. Just wrapped up your first recruiting class, Derek. I know that was as you mentioned, kind of like a 2-minute drill over the course of a couple of weeks.
Right.
You talked about how pleased you were with the way things came together with that class. If you want to touch on the group that you have now.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think our coaching staff did a great job of being able to quickly evaluate and get out and assemble this group of 2014 talent that we think is going to lead us into the future. I mean, we look at where we are right now, and we're definitely excited. I mean, we touched some areas of need when you talk about what we needed to do up front, because we needed to make sure that we built some solid depth on the offensive line, and we think with Grenier and when you look at Cole Harden and what we were able to do. There, I think we sort of solidified some things. And when you jumped over to the defensive side of the ball, just a little bit, because I think the game starts up front. You're talking about, Nephi, who is a top, dominant high school, defensive lineman who we think can help us immediately. And then when you talk about Mr. Ridley, I think, he's probably an unknown to most, but if you have had the opportunity to see his tape, the tape tells the story, and I think we look for guys that can play. I mean, we don't care about stars, we care about players. And then, everywhere else, receiver, we touched that need. We touched the need in the secondary to build depth. When you look at the quarterback situation, really, signing, 3 quarterbacks, really 2 quarterbacks and an athlete. We feel good about what those guys bring to us, and two West Coast style quarterbacks that have the ability to extend plays with their feet and give us an opportunity to run the style of offense that we need to run in order to be competitive here in the SEC East. And then from there, a long snapper and some spot guys. But I think this class is when you look back 2 years from now, you'll say, man, this class was a really good class in terms of play time, because that's how you measure it. Today it's all about, what the numbers and stars look like. Right. 2 years from now, it's what the real production looks like. And that's where we're looking at down the road to the production part.
I know you hope to be able to say the same thing at this time next year about the 2015 class. You'll have a full year to put that together. Absolutely. And on paper, at least, there's a handful of pretty good-looking Middle Tennessee and Tennessee statewide high school prospects. You talked about wanting to, get the top in-state guys over to West End. What kind of challenge will that be, and how big of a test is that for you in recruiting to keep these guys home?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, we have a certain brand, at Vanderbilt. I mean, we are, to this area of the country. When you look at it, we do think that we offer, one of the best educations in the country. Second to none. And then when you look at the football in terms of being able to play in the SEC, it's an attractive brand. And that's the brand that we're pushing, and that's who we are. With that being said, looking at 2015, we've got a year to, find those Vanderbilt men, those men who embody, the characteristics that we're looking for. Guys that play hard, they're physical. They understand that academics and athletics have to coexist in order to be successful. And when you look at the in-state talent, it's a talented year. Right. I mean, you're talking about across the board. There's talent at every position. And so for us, we need to make sure that, guys who fit our profile, truly understand who we are as coaches, men, because they understand the Vanderbilt brand, because we'll get them there, but recruiting is about relationships. And so we have to build those relationships and let those young men see who we are and what we represent, as well as the parents, and I think we'll get our message across.
Let's touch on the guys you have on the roster for now. Yeah. And like you mentioned, a little bit of a honeymoon phase that we're going through.
That's right.
I would think that the guys are starting to get their hands on the playbook and learn what you'll have ready for them for spring practice. Talk about what you want to see out of this spring. And I guess anytime a new coach comes in, you want to credit guys for maybe time served, what they've done in the past to earn their starting spots, but they've got to prove it over again to you. So where does that balance fit for a new coach?
I'll tell you what, we want to be competitive. I mean, we want to make sure that, it's always about competition. We've started with our morning workouts, and instead of just having workouts that embody just guys, and going through, drills, everything's about a competition. So we're competing. We're matching guys up. We put guys in the teams. We're matching those teams up. We're moving the teams around so the guys learn how to compete. Every day is about competing. It's about getting better. There's a sign, and it used to hang in our stadium back at Stanford that says, man, you're either getting better or you're getting worse, but nobody stays the same. And that's what, this process is about. We need to make sure that we understand that, 2013 has got nothing to do with 2014, 14 with 15. I mean, what you do is, and I've said it before, okay, you tear it down and build it back up. So they start there, but, the only thing that a sophomore has over a junior is hopefully, some experience and hopefully games played. With that being the case, we want to make sure that we open it up. If a sophomore is better than a senior, so be it. The best guys are going to play. We've told them that's the way it's been. That's the way I've always seen it. And so we're going to give every guy an opportunity to compete for a job. And if there's 4 or 5 starting spots out there for a secondary guy, we're going to toss out 4 or 5 bones to 8 guys, and whoever winds up with a bone is the guy who's going to play. And that's the way we're going to do it across the board. No job is secure. Every year stands on its own merit.
I know the fans are always interested in the quarterback spot. Coaches are too, for that matter. You've been able to see some tape of Patton Robinette. I know you hadn't seen much of Johnny McCrary at this point. Right. But if you could talk a little bit about the quarterback competition that we'll see going into the spring.
I'll tell you what, I think they're both, guys who have talents and abilities. And those talents and abilities, have to be shown in battle. Robinette obviously has the edge in terms of games played and what he's done. But I think what you do is you let those guys come into their own. We're not going to put pressure on guys to get out there and do something and be something they're not. What we want to see is how you do under fire. I mean, we're going to put them in situational football. We're going to make sure that they know and understand, what the drill is designed to do, and we want to see guys execute. Whether it's a 2-minute drill, whether it's third down, whether it's short yardage, we want to see the quarterback position manage the game. And not only manage the game, take control of it so we can see the leadership characteristics and all the other things that are associated with the quarterback position come alive.
We've speculated, I guess you could say, that eventually we'll see a 3-4 defense over on West End based on the guys that you brought in your history. Mm-hmm. What can be the advantages of a 3-4?
It's multiple. It's 3-4. It's 4-3. I mean, I hate to put it in a box because it changes week to week, depending on who we play. But our philosophy is still the same. We're going to stop the run, defend the pass. That's what we do. Okay. And with that being said, we need to make sure that we control the line of scrimmage. Now we know up front offensively, we have a pretty formidable line. I mean, those guys know how to push guys off the ball. They know how to move the line of scrimmage. But we need to make sure defensively, that we're all about knockback. We want to reestablish the line of scrimmage so our backers, whatever it is, 4-3, 3-4, it doesn't matter. Our backers are able to come downhill, play downhill, and have the secondary, clean up. So what we say is it starts up front. So we want to let the front guys play hard. We want the backers to make those guys right, and we want the secondary guys to make the backers right. And in that philosophy, we find ourselves, making plays and having some success.
I know you haven't got that much time logged in Nashville yet because you've been out on the road recruiting. But your impressions of the city so far, the fans that you've interacted with, and if you want to tell people a little bit about your family and the 3 girls you'll be bringing here with you to Nashville.
I'll tell you, Nashville is such a beautiful city. I mean, it's vibrant, and I say that all the time, but this place is special. I mean, you get a chance to go down to the West End and you get a feel for, the history and what it is and what it's been, and then you start to move around the city and you see people everywhere. Everybody stops and says hello. People are cordial. People, stop and meet and greet. And it hasn't been just me. It's been people with me. It's been my staff. I think, really, people in Nashville are just genuine. And I like that. It feels like home. And I think that's an important feel to have, especially when you're bringing a young family. As for my family, when I look at my daughters, Sydney and Mackenzie, 13 and 14, Mackenzie being the oldest, for them, moving from Minnesota to Palo Alto was a little traumatic, in terms of what that was. But eventually they started to understand flip-flops and sunshine are great. Well, now coming to Nashville,
everything.
Well, you get a little bit of everything, but I think what's endearing about this environment is that it's family oriented, and for me and my family, that's important. I mean, they're at an age where, you know, they're impressionable. I mean, they want to be happy. And we think from schools to surroundings, I mean, it's an environment that, you know, they can thrive in. And so, I mean, I'm confident. They're excited. They're coming out this weekend. And I actually have an opportunity to spend some quality time with my wife looking at houses where she's going to make all the decisions, and all I'm going to do is say, yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. She
Absolutely.
Granite and everything else.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Derek. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you.
This is Jeff Lockridge talking with Derek Mason. Thank you for joining us on the Tennessean.